Hi, Lucia.
Hi, how are you?
Good night, everybody. How are you? Well, we are in the Zoom meeting, and well, it's your choice if you want to start or maybe you want to wait a little bit for your classmates. Today, as you know, we have our theoretical class. We start the module 2, and well, we have, but well, it's important to finish on time. It's your decision, it's your choice. Please let me know.
Good night, Doc. We can start.
Okay, everybody agree? We can start now, and that's okay for me.
Yeah, I also think that we should start.
Okay, perfect. Give a minute, I'm gonna share the slides. Okay, please let me know when you watch my screen, okay? It's a purple one. Okay, can you watch my screen? Somebody? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, if we all agree, let's go. Our classmates are going to be coming into this Zoom meeting, so let's start. That's okay for me. That's a good moment, I think. Well, as you know, we finished module 1. All of you have your own scores. And well, from today, we are starting module 2. In module 2, of course, it's not the same content. It's not the same activities. We have lots of expressions of ways to talk about and medical knowledge to refresh maybe in some cases. And of course, we have more terms to study and analyze. Today, we are going to talk about basic investigations just. Maybe it looks like a non-impressive contest, maybe non-impressive activity, but it's very important the way we choose how to evaluate our patients and how to express and give details about health situations, okay? Well, first of all, we have to check the meaning. What's the basic investigation? What's the, how we can talk about it? What's the meaning of this expression? Of course, it's not the same common investigation than medical investigation. At the beginning, the investigation, the process of making an investigation is the systematic and thorough examination or inquiry into something or someone, the collection of facts or information, and the recording of this examination or inquiry in a report. I mean, we decide a topic, we start using that topic, we take all the information, and then we make the report of this. Easy, it looks like an easy fact, right? And just as information, we have to know as a culture point that the word investigate can be traced back to the Latin word investigare. Of course, it's similar to Spanish. The meaning to search into, and investigare is based on another Latin word, vestigare, meaning to track or to trace. So you can see it's the process into a line that we can use on this. And what's specifically a medical investigation? Common investigation can be, well, you can make an investigation about anything, of course. That's no problem. It's a personal choice what to do, and we have the scientific process, of course, we know about it. But medical investigation is supported by all the complementary studies that we request in order to support the diagnosis. We have the patient, of course, we make the anamnesis, we take the general idea of the clinical situation. We have preliminary thought, medical thought, I mean, and usually depending on the situation, we ask for some studies, some lab tests, x-rays, I don't know, depending on the situation, we choose the best one in order to take the best decision and to choose the correct treatment. So don't forget it, it's just a definition to keep in mind. As I was telling you, lab test, x-rays, CT scan, MRI, ultrasound. So we know there are lots of views, lots of situations to take into account, to check, to evaluate, and then we have that opportunity to do. As this comic says, sometimes we make some tests just to support that we need more tests. So the process, the protocol we have to follow, of course, it's supported on the situation by many schools and things like that. So you know, it's not a new topic to talk about it. The procedures we make in order to start the medical investigation, the basic studies, are the vital signs. Why there are vital signs? Because this is the first objective point we have to take in account. The basic one, if we don't take vital signs, we are making a wrong job. Our medical procedure is not correct. All of you can tell me that it's a nurse activity to do it, and that's correct. It's one of the nurse's objectives doing this while evaluating the patient or helping us to take decisions according to the data they are collecting. That's okay, but as a doctors, we have the obligation to know how to do it, and maybe know many different ways to do it. Of course, nurses have the best preparation about it, but we get the idea. And when a critical situation is appeared and the nurse is not sure for being correct or taking the correct data, they are asking us to take again vital signs. I tell you by experience, it's not a new fact, it's not a strange situation when someone asks the doctor or the medical student or the resident to take the vital signs and then check if everything is okay. The blood pressure, abbreviation BP, heart rate or pulse, HR, the abbreviation, respiratory rate, double R, core temperature, the T and the temperature sign, the blood oxygen, arterial blood oxygen gas, ABG, and oxygen saturation, SpO2, OSAT, and in so many countries like UK and United States, the ophthalmoscopy. Ophthalmoscopy, of course, is a well-trained process when we as doctors usually take this information. Not a nurse, not a medical student, or maybe a medical student that is well-trained could have that opportunity to do it, but it's not a common procedure when the student has this opportunity to give a detailed description of the routine, I mean. So going ahead, let's start. We have to remind that when we talk about patients, we have to consider that sometimes we decide to use the monitor, that electronic device that we connect to our patient in order to check vital signs continuously and not losing information, because it's not a very easy situation. It's a complicated fact to lose a detail about the pathology that is coming to our patient, I mean. So in that order, we have to check, we have to consider that the monitor is giving us very complete information all the time. And then we have all of this information into the monitor, just as an example. So the parameters we have here, we have the normal ones, and of course there are the abnormal ones, the criteria to take it in count and to take it in action, okay? Moreover, when we take this, we have to check this, treat the patient, not the monitor. Sometimes the bases can be wrong, can be failing. And we have to take in account that there are lots of studies that support that we can make mistakes if we just check numbers and not check the situation of the patient. It happens, I tell you by experience. We usually check how numbers are moving and we don't check the real situation of the patient. That's why Alexander Tartarin, is a nurse from USA, sent us this reflexive idea, I mean. Vital signs provide the clinical with an overall snapshot of a patient's well-being and can help determine treatment and management plans for patients when taken into consideration with other data points. And the entire patient as a whole. When vital signs are abnormal, first check to see how the patient is doing. If they appear well, but the vital signs suggest otherwise, remember to treat the patient as a whole and not just individual numbers. It's the same. Don't just support on numbers, support on the patient's well-being, the patient's situation. We have to consider more in a very, very general view, the devices we use to check vital signs. The BP at the beginning, the heart rate, and the respiratory rate, of course. We can use the stethoscope, of course, the principal device for doctors. We all know the history of this. We all know Lenac. We all know how he decided to make a device to listen to patients' lungs and respiratory sounds and heartbeats. It was just a cultural situation, and not being in this position, placing his ear on the chest of ladies. That's why Lenac decided to prepare this device, the first one, a rolled paper, and then listen to clearly. Then he noticed that he was, without taking infections, he was better. And then that was possible to listen to clearly the sounds of the rest of the structures, I mean. That's why it's important to check history. And now through the time, we all know that this device has been being improved with different materials, with different details could be. And then we have the parts, how it's divided. We have the air tips, the air plugs, the air tubes, usually metal tubes, adjustable binaurals, the binaural spring, the flexible tubing rubber tube, the steam, the big one, the drum, just the drum, that plastic, very soft structure around the steam, the bell with a hole usually, and the diaphragm. So with this device, we can make many activities. Without a stethoscope, nowadays, it's not possible to make our job correctly. Moreover, we have the sphygmomanometer, very common device that all doctors make. We all know how to use this, and we all know these parts. Okay, the inflation valve, the air release valve, the pressure cuff, the index marking, the aneurysm manometer gauge, artery position indicator level. Usually it's placed with, to the left or the right arm, that's the same. And the tip connectors. Moreover, going now to the BP, to the blood pressure, one of the most common procedures we make. The blood pressure is a non-invasive procedure that measures the pressure of circulating blood against a blood vessel wall. The top number, known as the systolic BP, is the amount of pressure that your heart pumps through your arteries and entire blood. The bottom number is known as diastolic BP. Is the amount of pressure in the arteries. We all know this definition. It's just for taking account and refresh memory. In this diagram, we can check how it works, how it's been placed correctly, of course, how we have to check, and what's the anatomical situation could be said, what's the way it takes the BP, and now we get the idea. So just for an information slide. Of course, we have electronic device. Engineering is not free for us. We have these advanced devices in order to get the exact number, maybe just the point, not a rounded number, because our ears could fail. We all are humans, so we are able to lose a detail. We can make a mistake. We are not God. In that way, with the electronic device, we can get detailed numbers, and then we have the idea how it works. It's the same procedure of working, it's the same doing, and of course it has a way of placing. We have the arm device, it's the same like this, just being a correct position is a correct way of working. And we have the wrist device. Remember the position, the correct one by hand, and it depends on the device and the factory, and they have instructions to follow. Please follow them. If you place it wrongly, the data is not correct. It could be a situation for a wrong measurement. Well, tips for an accurate measurement, we have the details here just as an information detail. Check this and that's okay. And what the boss says, the boss, I mean, are the ones that make the universal protocols for working. In this case, the American Heart Association give us the guidelines for remembering the details, to get the idea how we can work with high BP and then get the correct parameters in order to check. I got this chart, it's clear. Well, according to the internet, to the website I was checking, this is the last one. But if you have a chart that is better than this, you can share to the group. That's okay. It's just for information to take in account that we have protocols for working. We are not free of them. We have rules, we have to follow them. Of course, we have this chart by age, just as an information to take in account, and I think it would be workable for all of us. Well, and now the heart pulse, the heart rate or pulse, the HR, it's the amount of times the heart beats per minute, the BPM, of course. The wave of blood created each time the left ventricle on the heart contracts is the pulse, we know this, and each pulse beat is one cardiac cycle or one heartbeat. We all know this. The normal heartbeat is about 70 times per minute. And increased oxygen results in a faster pulse rate. And we can check tachycardia and bradycardia. Of course, we all know how this, just for remembering, for making a refresh. The average pulse rate by age, we have this chart. Less than a year, 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 11 to 16, adults and older adults. Take them in count just as an information, okay? And the common pulse sites, of course, we have many anatomical details to remember. The radial pulse, temporal pulse, femoral pulse, popliteal pulse, posterior tibial pulse, dorsalis pedis pulse, and apical pulse. With the apical, of course, we use the stethoscope. Well, the steps measuring the radial pulse is just to take into account that we have a process to follow, to have an idea to check this information. We don't have to lose the opportunity to be in order, to be organized to do this. Working by memory is not a good idea because we make mistakes. We can mix data, maybe to get an uncomfortable patient while working, I mean. In other words, these steps are organized It's from another website, and I think it's correct because I was reading all of this when I prepared the slides. And of course, it starts with the hygiene, explain according or another situation of his smoking or taking medication. And then we have to get in the correct position the patient, anatomical position for taking a correct data, and then place our fingers in this moment on the artery on some side of wrist. We have the picture here, like this, you can see. And then check the quality of pulse. Then we start counting pulse beats when second hand on watches 3, 6, 9, or 12. So we know how to get it to start counting with the help of a clock. We have to count for 1 full minute. We usually do it by 30 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, because we don't have sometimes enough time to do it. But the correct process is in 1 full minute. And when we complete the full minute, we write the pulse beats per minute on a piece of paper. And again, we make the hand hygiene. Okay, so just as an information, and with these 2 slides, we have the correct process to do it. And checking the correct process, we have the correct expressions to give this kind of information or this kind of orders to work, okay? About the respiratory rate, well, we know that the double R is the rate which breathing occurs. This is usually measured in beats, breaths per minute. I'm sorry, nervous system, okay? The pattern, effort, and volume of respiration may be more indicative of altered respiratory physiology. Several pre-hospital and hospital-based illness or injury severity scores feature the double R as a cardinal value. Of course, it's a cardinal value depending on the situation we are talking about. Respiratory rate, respiratory patterns, pathologies that are related to each respiratory pattern. That's why it's important to take it in account. Again, okay, I'm sorry, my internet connection failed a little bit. Let me share again the screen. Okay, we are here. Please, can you watch my screen?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, we checked the respiratory rate definition and many details. And now the steps to measure the respirations. Again, we start by hygiene. We identify the patient and we assist the patient in resting position to take the pulse. We all know this. And we observe and count each breathing cycle. Again, we have to count it, one for writing down in a piece of paper, and then again, we make the hand hygiene. Easy, we do it all the time. That's why we just need to remind, to get in practice all of these steps, okay? Now we have the core temperature. The core body temperature is the temperature of the body's internal organs. A normal body temperature ranges between 36.5, but temperature readings vary. Temperature refers to temperature of the body's internal organs, such as heart, liver, brain, and blood. The central temperature could be said, but core temperature is the correct term of talking about it. In our countries, we usually have in Latin America, I mean, the Celsius degrees, but in UK, USA, some parts of Europe, we talk by Fahrenheit degrees. In this diagram, we can check how is the difference of the place you are placed, in cold ambient or a warm ambient. This is a description just for remembering, for checking, for taking into account, and then considering that if we use many different devices to take temperature, we are going to learn that this is giving us the explanation what is going on. And we can get the correct temperature in 6 positions, in 6 places. Of course, the oral temperature, the tympanic temperature, and the rectal temperature as the most specific ones could be. We have the skin temperature. It's like a small piece of paper that is prepared for this, and according to the color and the value, we have temperature and the armpit temperature. Armpit usually for elderly people, and then adults or teenagers, people who can help us to this position. Usually in kids, they are allowed to follow instructions. Now we have the blood oxygen. The blood oxygen, of course, we all know this. During the pandemic time, we all had the opportunity to practice, to make it all the time. And then consider that it's one of the most important vital signs to take in account. In that order, we have to check that the finger device, this one, depending of it's this small one or it's a bigger one, depending on the finger you get it in position, you can get a correct measurement or maybe a small difference from the arterial blood gas, the ABG. When we talk about the blood oxygen according to the arterial blood gas, we try to compare results. They are too similar, but there are some articles that describe that the best finger to measure, like with this device, is the middle finger. Okay, the middle one. In that order, that studies describe that it's the position when, well, it's usually the finger that it's without a sore or any lesion, skin lesion, and usually the fingernails are in a better position, in a better situation, could be said, and the data is not changing. Moreover, we have to take in account that we use the finger device, we have to check the paint of fingernails. If they are so dark, for example, blue, brown, I don't know, wine, a dark color, I mean, the device can make a mistake taking the measurement. That's why it's important to consider that it's not the best idea to do it if our patient has fingernails painted in which finger we decide to take the measurement. Another detail to consider is the temperature of hands. If they are too cold, the measurement is going to be lower than really could be. We have to try to get warm hands in our patients and then use this device. If you don't have warm hands, the device is going to fail and then the measurement again is not going to be correct. Moreover, according to the arterial blood gas, first of all, this is an invasive procedure. If someone has the opportunity to feel this puncture, you know that it's very it hurts a lot, it's harmful. I tell you by experience, if I've had the opportunity to avoid this study, I would do it, of course, because I don't like it. Here in Bolivia, we usually take the blood, the artery blood from the wrist. In so many countries, doesn't matter the artery, you decide to take the blood. You have to check just the values that the device is sending to us, that the lab is reporting to us. And according to the situation, we have the opportunity to consider this. The chart is just for showing us the normal values for refreshing memory, and that's why it's important. Now, talking about ophthalmoscopy, as I was telling you at the beginning, it's not a very common procedure to make in Latin America by general practitioners or maybe in the emergency room. At least we have a very supported situation that obliges the doctor to make this. For example, brain trauma, I don't know, and any situation that could change the visual acuity, maybe diabetes, and for example, an AKD as cytositosis diabetic. Well, there are many situations, you know, and we have to consider that if we are not well trained, we are not going to see anything. We know this is a non-invasive procedure. It's developed by a doctor, not students, not nurses. Students, if you are teaching, as I was telling you at the beginning, or maybe it is a very well-trained student and you decide to give the ophthalmoscope to your student, do it, it's free, but please check again. An ophthalmoscope allows the doctor to examine all parts of the eye, the iris, lens, retina, and optic disc. For best results, the examination is done with dimmed or lowered lights to allow the pupil to maximally dilate or widen. A topical myodratic solution may be applied to the eye to aid dilation. The patient is asked to fixate on a target for the duration of the test. The patient, well, when you dilate the pupil, well, if somebody had received that procedure, have received that kind of drops, you know that while finishing, you cannot see anything because of the light, and you have to that this process starts living, it starts being away, and then you can move, but you still need help for around 1 day. That's why it's not a comfortable procedure, but it's important to check if it's necessary. We have the ophthalmoscope, the parts of this. This is the place that goes to the patient. This is for us. We have the viewing window, the lens wheel, the lens power scale, light adjustment, color, power base, and handle. In the other side, the other face, we have the mirror, the color adjustment button, aperture adjustment wheel, the light adjustment color, and the power base and handle again. So checking these structures, these parts of our devices, we know how it works. I think with that all of us during our medical school, maybe in the 5th year or maybe in the internship, we had the opportunity to make this procedure. But in order, it's not common. We don't even do it all the time, and we can lose practice. And it's a normal situation when it happens. It's not for being ashamed or not for being or feeling diminished because we don't do this with all of our patients. We have to check the situation. We have to choose the best one because it's not comfortable. We have the direct method, of course. And well, sometimes with this direct method, if we don't have enough practice and we are so, how can I say that in English? If we are so hurry, could be, or we are rushing, we can make the mistake of not placing correctly the lens in our eyes, and then try to kiss a patient. It happens. I saw it with a colleague and it was so funny. That, well, that's the position we have to remind. And then the indirect methods, when we use an extra lens and then check into the eye. It, of course, needs more practice, more capabilities to do it, and it's usually done by a well-prepared ophthalmologist. That's the way the light gets into the eye, how the light is going, and the structures you are able to check. And that's a diagram, what you are going to check into the eye. The blood vessels, physiologic cap, optic disc, macular area, and the fovea. Checking this diagram, you might see how the device is placed on head, the indirect one. And then you can see how it's done. Some information, but the vocabulary here could be useful for you. And now this is a picture and how it looks. This is the complete pupil dilation. You can see it's well opened. And from here, the light that it's getting into the eye, it's not, of course, it's not going to help you to see while finishing the study. That's why patients have to rest, have to fixate and wait around 1.5 hours, as I was telling you, in order to drop away medication and then walk. Not normally, but easily. In this picture is from an ophthalmoscopy. It's from a patient, and we can see some situations. We have some hemorrhage. We have the blood vessels, well, easy to check. I mean, the optic disc, the macula. We have some exudates, and of course, hemorrhage and exudates have a definition, have a reason to be. Here in these charts, I'm showing you some pictures in order to check this information, I mean, and then consider many situations if you have the opportunity to do this. Why I'm sending these slides? Because of the vocabulary. Please check this, read this, and if there's any question, tomorrow we can talk about it. We have the vitreous, the intravitreal with curls, streaks, or diffuse patches of blood in the vitreous obscures the retinal vessel. So you can see we have the preretinal subhyaloid, the thumbprint. We have Well, the thumbprint, it's these marks are very not common to check, but you have here the description to see. The picture is very clear. When you check an ophthalmoscopy, you can check these structures. It's not a very good situation. The preretinal, again, subhyaloid, typically single or in small groups, initially round, but becomes boat-shaped. You can see this is the boat-shaped, the shape of a boat, okay? And the superficial and intraretinal elongated with fried borders, splinter or flame shaped. You can see it's like a flame. It has borders, very regular borders with flames, with points, like a flame that is burning and leaving that lightened points. We have the deep intraretinal, the dot or blot. We have the dots, we have the blot. We have the retinoschisis. The skin is cavity surrounded by an hypopigmented or hemorrhagic arc or an elevated retinal fold. This is not a common picture to check or patients to check. In my experience working through these years, I never seen one like this, but it's important to get the idea. No one knows when it could happen. The subretinal between photoreceptors and retinal pigments epithelium, you can see the red blotches with round lobulated borders. You can see red blotches and round lobulated borders. Beneath elevated retina, usually extensive. So you can see the border very well defined. And the subretinal pigment epithelial or choroidal. So you can see the black one, the dark slate colored with smooth borders surrounded by a red ring. You can see the red ring. Well, we have this diabetic retinopathy. This is the fundus when we check with taking control. It's a non-controlled patient, of course. And we have the exudates here. We were talking at the beginning, the white ones, and small points of hemorrhage, okay? And now this slide that I consider one of the most useful at this moment, because it's giving us some information about 5 pathologies that are very common to check. The optic disc edema. You can see the optic disc and the edema, how it is well diffused and how it changes. We have the intraocular hemorrhage. You can see here the hemorrhage. The grade 3 and 4 for hypertensive retinopathy. You can see how the vessels, the blood vessels are being dilated and then can be broken. The retinal vascular occlusion, you can see the principal structures, the principal net, but the branches could be said are not well appearing. And the optic disc pallor, it's a cause of blindness. So check this. This is just as an information again, and taking in account if one of you is into the residence, maybe it could be helpful for you and try to do the ophthalmoscopy currently for practicing and preparing. Now we have the more diagnosis findings with chronicle changes, just as an information. And the findings are not common, Here we have the arterial retinopathy necrosis, the optic disc is swelling and macular edema, and we have exudation along blood vessels, narrowing of arterioles, dilatation of venules, and superficial hemorrhages were observed in border retina. So you can see all of this description is here, hemorrhages. We have exudated, we have edema here, and well, details, anatomical details. After the treatment, the photocoagulation changes with the degeneration, the central retinal vein occlusion, and well, this is a neovascular glaucoma. The glaucoma, we know all of that, all of us, that it's not a very good situation. So remember, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So make plans, wish gratefully, and let's go ahead. Until this point, any question? Something you would like to talk, something you would like to say maybe? Tomorrow, of course, we have our workshop. Please check the slides. I'm preparing exercises to talk about tomorrow. And well, let's see how it works. Okay. Workshops, of course, into the module 1 were different than now, because during the workshops, it was an open activity, as you know, and I was able to receive questions and to check pronunciation and check details of the slide presentation. In module 2, of course, we have to use the vocabulary and expressions we were checking in the module 1, and then we have to consider that in this module 2, I'm going to ask a lot. Okay, I'm going to ask for some information, and then I'm going to use some exercises, and homework is written, not for completing charts or taking or answering details as the module 1. They are easy to make, of course, they are funny, but now we have to give one step more, and this step is focused in order to talk better and practice and start developing our vocabulary. Okay, any question about it?
No, teacher.
Yes, let me know. Hi. I'm sorry, who was talking? I couldn't see that. Hi. Well, let me know now. Now is your moment to tell me if you want to change something in this module 2. Now is the point. The role, of course, I'm going to check again the participation in module 1. And well, the hour that is set, please, we are not going to change it. I know that there were 2 students that were asking for change to be at the end. And the last workshop and this module 2 workshops, they wanted to be at the end. But I didn't receive any message as I was asking for. If I don't receive a message tonight, I cannot exchange it, please. I need to know if we are going to be in the same order or if somebody wants to exchange it, okay? Or if you need because of job or something, please let me know. I need this information to be organized. Hello? Any question about it, or it's okay for you to do it in that way? Because I changed it and that's all, yeah. Is there any question from you? Thank you for the poll, it's full filled. Thanks for you. Thanks for you all. Hi. Well, if there are no questions, well, I think it's all, that's all. We can go home. Now it's a short slide presentation. Of course, I'm going to send it to the WhatsApp group in order to get all the information. It's just a general view. And the hardest activity for taking the score while speaking is a workshop, please. And the module 1, the same as in the module 1, I'm gonna send homework every Thursday night or Friday during the day. and I think it's not going to happen again I don't think I'm gonna have troubles with my computer, and well, homework is done, is prepared for sending, and all the exercises that you are going to write down are going to be like this. Do you remember we were talking about the case report? Now is the moment of practicing about it. Now is the moment to talk about it and get all the information and start doing this. Okay? Any question about it, about how the workshop is going to be done? Hello? I need you people to tell me something.
No, teacher, everything is clear. Thank you.
It's clear, right? Okay. Okay, as a support, I think I'm going to send these same guidelines to the WhatsApp group because, well, I have some students that are not into the class, but there's no problem. Sometimes I receive messages later. If there are no more questions, well, we can meet tomorrow. Have a good night. And please check the slides. Now it's my turn about asking for. Okay?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, Doc,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay, teacher, goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a nice night. Denise, are you still there? Well, I think that's all at this moment. And everything is done. So, see you tomorrow.